This is a journey into sound. A journey which along the way will bring to you new color, new dimension, new values, and a new experience.
Welcome to the Ghee Spot Podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us for conversations around sex, spirit, and all things self-care. All things self-care. All things self-care.
This is a journey into sound.
Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
You are a Ghee Spot Podcast with Katie Silcox.
Hey, beautiful people. I hope you're having a great spring day, early spring. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today because I feel like we've been having so much heavy and beautiful and deep and intense conversations here at the Ghee Spot. And so today is a topic that is so fun, and I'm excited to bring some levity into the podcast today. And I'm also celebrating the fact that we have a new sponsor who is amazing. I want to introduce you guys to a company that I wholeheartedly love and support. The company is called Ahara Ghee, and it was created by this amazing woman who I actually know from my experience in Ayurveda school. Her name's Andrea Schumann, and she started this incredible company. And so when she said she wanted to be a sponsor for the podcast, I was so excited. This gal has started a company that makes incredible grass-fed ghee, and they do it in a way that is almost unheard of, even in India, right? Especially in the United States. They make cultured organic grass-fed ghee, and they also make it in the traditional way that's outlined in the ancient Ayurvedic texts. They do it in this really special type of churn that's really hard to find, and so they make it the way it was made traditionally. I'm so honored that they are going to be our sponsor all month. So you have to check out Ahara Ghee. And we have the links for her company, Ahara, in the show notes. Her ghee is amazing. It's really special. I have tried every single type that she makes. And I'll tell you guys, I'm like a ghee dork. Like, I obsessively try different ghees, and I make it myself a lot of the time. And I've actually stopped making it because I like her ghee way, way, way better than mine. But what she does is amazing. She makes regular ghee, and then they do spiced ghees. They have a chai spice. They have a vanilla dream ghee, which is mind-blowing. They have lots of different types of ghee that I've never even heard of. And then they have these little ghee to go packets, which is hilarious and awesome. And I have some of those too for when I travel. So in honor of our new podcast sponsor, I am excited to say that we're going to be talking about ghee today, because it's been a topic that I've actually wanted to talk about since we started the podcast. And, you know, it's the name of our podcast, the Ghee Spot. Why is that so? Why is it so important, this substance, that we've made a whole podcast about it, that we use? I mean, obviously it's not a podcast about ghee, but we use the word because it was so sacred in terms of the ancient Ayurvedic texts. And, you know, there's really something special about butter and milk. And ghee, of course, is this more refined aspect of the milk. And so basically you just boil down butter until you take out all the milk fats, all the solids. And so what you're left with is this really refined golden elixir almost of the fat. And you take out all the stuff that causes arteries to clog and makes butter and milk really, really good for you, but also really heavy on your system. And for a lot of people, you know, milk and dairy and butter is a little bit harder to digest. And so what ghee does is it takes out all of those heavy solids, and you're left with this most refined aspect of the omega 3 to 6 fats that we all desperately need. Like if somebody calls you a fathead, they're actually speaking truth, because our brain is composed of fat partially. So ghee has also been found to have that really important ratio of omega-3s to 6s that we need. So ghee's awesome. And I went through a period in my life where, so let me say this. First of all, I was born in 1980. I don't mind saying my age. And when I grew up, and some of you out there listening are going to identify with this, and others of you that are younger are going to be like, wow, that's so crazy. But when I was growing up in the American South in 1980s, the fat-free fad was all the rage. And it makes me laugh, cry right now to tell you that I remember my mom and her friend Linda Stallings. Hi, Linda. Don't sue me for saying your full name. She won't. She loves us. She loves the Ghee Spot. But anyway, my mama and Linda, they were really into the fitness craze, and they would do their step aerobics with their leotards at the YMCA in Bristol, Tennessee. And then they would go to the Burger King. I kid you not. I was in the back seat eating Cheerios. They would go to the Burger King and they would order their fat-free burgers. And the way they did that in 1980s in the Deep South at the Burger King in Bristol, Tennessee, is that they would say that they wanted the bun and the lettuce and the tomato and maybe the cheese, but I don't think so. And they would want no meat, and they would order like 3 of these fat-free burgers. Oh my God, you guys, no one would do that now, because now we're in the fat love craze where everyone's obsessed with coconut oil and butter and avocados and eating nuts, and we're really into fat now. And somewhere in the middle is kind of where always I'm starting to see, as I continue to walk this path as a woman on the planet, like somewhere in the middle is usually where truth is hiding. And so I grew up in the fat-free phase, which was an extreme. And now I think we're in the fat love phase. And I think that's can be potentially dangerous too. You know, you don't want to overdo it on anything. And I've definitely experienced the fat-free lifestyle growing up, and then I've experienced the fat-full lifestyle. Ate a lot of butter in my day, let me tell you. And I think what I've found is really what Ayurveda says is that ghee is something that's easier for the body to digest, and you want to eat it in moderation. And so we're going to talk a little bit about ghee and kind of what's so special about it, but we're also going to talk just about fat and digestive health in general. I started like a year ago, I was having all of these dreams about butter, and I was eating a lot of butter and ghee at the time. And I was just dreaming about it. And then my sister called me and she was like, oh my gosh, I have to tell you the dream I had last night. And I'm like, okay, nobody wants to hear your dreams except your mama and your sister, right? Otherwise it's boring. But she called me and she said that she dreamt that she had a little baby sitting in her lap, and that I actually had a little baby sitting in my lap, and Mary was watching. And she dreamed that I was feeding this baby endlessly sticks of butter. And I just thought, wow, that is so crazy. That is right to the heart of my love affair with Tantra, with this practice of the Divine Mother, with this practice of the Divine Feminine, and with what I think is happening right now on the planet with women, especially, where we are so sick and tired of living a fat-free lifestyle. And it's not just about not eating fat. A fat-free lifestyle is a sex-free lifestyle. It's a pleasure-free lifestyle. It's a relationship-free lifestyle. It's an emotion-free lifestyle. It's a change the dirty diapers of life free lifestyle. And all of these people, all these beings are stepping up on the planet and saying, you know what? I have thick thighs and cellulite that may or may not be benefiting me, right? But I'm going to rock it out in my bikini this year. That's just me speaking. you know what? I enjoy my pleasure, and I'm tired of feeling guilt and shame about my sexuality and my sensuality. And I enjoy eating butter, right? And by Mary having that dream where I was just feeding this baby the butter, it was speaking to not only my love affair, obviously, with fats in a healthy way, but also this wet, unctuous, nourishing aspect of the feminine, which is really the type of medicine we are practicing over here at the Shakti school. And by medicine, I mean practices of self-care and practices of self-discovery and inquiry. Ghee obviously is made from milk, and milk is what the cow makes in its body for the child, for the baby cow. And so there's something so symbolic here as well. In my astrology, I'm what's called a Pushya in the Vedic tradition, and that means the milk-giving cow. And when I first heard that, I was like, that does not sound attractive. Like, I'm just like this milk-giving cow with her teats always available. And luckily, my astrologer was like, oh my God, no, this is like such an auspicious star sign. You are a part of this wave of beings that freely give the thing that is the most nourishing, which is love. And I was like, oh my gosh, yay, yes, that is me. And so this thing about ghee, it's not just about boiling down butter and getting a good quality fat for your system, which it is about, but it's bigger. It's about mother consciousness. It's about mama energy, the one who changes your dirty diapers, and the one who looks you in the eye, and the one who promises that she'll never leave you, and if she does, she'll be right back, right? That really is what we're speaking about. Cows in India were this symbol of the giving mother, the one who's always there, who's always available to give you what she can of her own processed self, which isn't about us giving endlessly to others with no boundaries. It's saying, when I'm doing the work in my life of churning my butter, right, which means every day waking up and saying, hey, oh my God, please, like, teach me how to walk in love. Teach me how to walk in compassion. And when I'm doing that, you naturally have these full teats, right, of love that just outflow. It's not about a lack of boundaries. So ghee on a physical level actually helps you do that more. We want to have well lubricated joints. We want to have well lubricated skin. We want to have well lubricated pussies, right? This is the concept in Ayurveda of like makes more like. And so if you want to have shiny skin and oily, nice, unctuous body parts, which we all should want, ghee is a big part of that. So let's talk a little bit more about this amazing, amazing elixir of life. And then we'll give you guys some good links on ghee and credible studies on ghee. And there's more than like one reason why ghee is great. But from an Ayurvedic perspective, the ghee was said to be able to increase Agni. And Agni is your digestive fire, so your metabolism. A little bit of the right amount of ghee, nicely made ghee, helped your body break down the foods that you ate. So ghee was actually often prescribed in Ayurvedic medicine in small amounts, right, for weight loss. So if you are out there and you're thinking that you want to balance a little bit your weight, actually having good amounts of ghee, right, appropriate amounts of ghee, and especially ghee in the middle of the day, when your digestive fire is highest, that actually helps the system increase its metabolism for you to break down toxins in the body and to release. Another reason why high quality fats, and ghee is one of them, right, are amazing is that fat is the fuel for the system. It's not that like quick acting fuel of sugar and carbohydrates. Fats are those long enduring fuel for especially our brain. So we need that high quality fat. You can think about ghee as love oil for the body. And in fact, the word for oil in Sanskrit is sneha, which I think I've said before in other podcasts. And sneha means love. And so ghee is oily love nectar made from milk, and it turns from this into a medicine for us. It's also a really great carrier for spices, which are medicines. So if you're cooking, using ghee for sauteing your spices is such a great idea, because ghee helps when you cook your spices, that helps open them up and they're more aromatic, but it also helps break them down so that they're more bioavailable for your system. And then ghee is a carrier. It's called an anupana in Sanskrit. It's a carrier, meaning ghee helps take the black pepper and the turmeric or the cumin or the oregano or the thyme, rosemary, whatever it is you're using. Ghee helps carry that into the deeper tissues of the body beyond your digestive system. So there's a lot of beautiful research speaking about how ghee really heals the body. What we're now showing, because everyone's so interested in fats now and how good they are for you, what we're now seeing is that ghee holds high levels of something called glycosphingolipid. If you can say that 20 times fast, you're incredible. But this lipid, which is a fat, is a component that is specifically good at being able to heal the gut lining. So a lot of people struggling with gut issues for many, many reasons. But contrary to popular thought, we actually need fat, especially if we want to prevent annoying belly and digestive issues like leaky gut, IBS. Ghee helps with that. There's a study done by British researchers that actually show not a lot of relationship between saturated fat and the plaque in your arteries. We have different research on that, but what we do see in other studies is that rats who are fed ghee wound up with lower levels of cholesterol than rats rather that didn't eat the ghee. And so these authors that did the study concluded that putting ghee into your human diet can have a similar result of actually preventing high cholesterol and arterial plaque buildup. So if you're like, well, I want to see that study, I'm going to put the link in the show notes for you guys if you want to geek out. But there is real science around the fact that lipids, especially butter, ghee, olive oil, avocado, good coconut oil, hemp oil, sunflower oil, and what's the other one? Sesame oil, all have real benefits, omega-3 benefits. So y'all know this, right? Put some fats in your life. As I said, ghee actually helps us absorb more of the spices, but it also helps us absorb the vitamins and nutrients in the food that we're cooking and making. It has a ton of vitamin A, D, K, and E, which all help your gut absorb the nutrients from the food. And you may have heard of the Weston Price Foundation. They're a big promoter of eating high quality fats. So they are the ones that found this, and we'll put a source for that as well. There's a really great book on it in the show notes this week. Eating ghee, can help you maintain your youthful vitality longer. And this isn't to say we all need to look young and be perfect, but what we do want to do is keep our systems as lubricated as possible for longer. And ghee has a high amount of this amazing thing called the Wolzen factor. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's a hormone-like substance that keeps the joints juicy and the bones lubricated and strong. So ghee's full of that. It's full of minerals like manganese, zinc, copper, iodine, chromium, selenium. It's obviously high in these fatty acids that we've been talking about that help support your immune system and your metabolism and your nervous system. And as I said before, it helps you keep your metabolic rate high. So we want to have that. We want to have the omega-3s, the omega-6s, and some of the linoleic acids. in ghee because they help support your brain function. Now people are saying that components in ghee may be related to cancer prevention. And fat actually helps you store muscle instead of fat. So if I haven't convinced you now, hopefully you'll take some time to really incorporate ghee into your life. Now, with all of that said, we also don't want to go overboard with the ghee. And I feel like I'm like the lab rat in the petri dish testing out all these things for you guys so I can make the mistakes and then you don't have to. You also don't want to go overboard with the butter and the ghee and the avocado oil and the avocado. You don't want to go overboard, which I've definitely done because fat does have to be broken down by your liver. And so if you eat too much fat over time, it can actually make your liver sluggish and it just overloads the system. So we don't want to do that either. There's a really great phrase in the Ashtanga Hridayam Sutra of Ayurveda that says, Ayurveda requires deep spiritual insight in order to live in harmony with nature. Nothing in this universe is non-medicinal. All substances can be used for various healing purposes in the right time, in the right season, in the right amount, for the right person, for the right reason. And so I think that's just something important to remember when we talk about anything in Ayurveda or anything really in spirituality. There can be this desire to know what's the right thing to do. I have a problem. I want to fix it. Ghee's good. Okay, I'm going to just eat a ton of it. There was a fad of just like eating ghee in the morning in your coffee. And like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but you really have to watch your own personal intuitive experience around anything, right? There's also a lot of talk in the ancient texts about ghee and your sexuality. There is a certain tissue layer in your body called the Shukra Dhatu. And the Shukra Dhatu is your sexual tissue. And Shukra is the most refined aspect of the foods that you eat. So you take in the food, right? You eat the apple, you eat the salad, you eat the hamburger, whatever you're eating, and that food gets broken down. And the first place the food goes is to somewhere called your Rasa Dhatu, which is your blood plasma and your lymphatic tissue. Then that breaks down and that goes to the next step, which is your blood, your red blood cells. And that gets broken down to the next dhatu, the next tissue layer, and that goes to your muscle, and then that gets broken down, and that goes to your fat, and then that gets broken down, and that goes to your nervous system, and then that gets broken down, and that goes to your sexual fluids, your fertility, your sexual organs. And so I feel like I skipped one of the dhatus. Well, anyways, you get the point. You have all these systems in your body. One of my students is going to be listening to this and cracking up. Did I miss a dhatu? One of my students will write me and tell me if I did. But anyway, you have this beautiful life possibility inside of you called your Shukra Dhatu. And which is your sexual virility or fertility. And so many women are trying to get pregnant on this planet right now, especially in the Western culture. And there's a direct relationship. We see it in the river of Ayurvedic understanding of how the river works from the mouth of the river, right, where you eat food, to the end of the river, which is your ability to create, whether it be a baby or a project or just creative life force in your life. And that river has a very linear structure. So I wish every woman and man knew this when they're trying to get pregnant, that there's a direct relationship between what you eat and your fertility. But not only that, your nervous system is the system that is receiving nutrition right before your sexual system. So, there are all these amazing stories, and so many women can write us. Please write us. info@ theshaktischool.com. We'll put a link in the show notes and tell us if this has happened to you, because I would love to just have some emails to hear if I'm right or wrong. I think so many people have found this to be the case. When you relax and you forget about it and you and your man go on vacation, then you get pregnant. Or when you've done all the fertility treatments and maybe you even had a baby from fertility. And we had a student the other day in Ayurveda school, and she was like, then we had our third baby who was an accident that we're excited about, but that we completely, like, we tried so hard, and then finally had a baby. But then when we forgot about it, didn't try at all, thought we were done, the third baby appears. Why? Because we were relaxed. So the nervous system is right before the sexual system. So what the ancient teachings say is the shukra needs fat. Your sexual system needs fats, especially things like clarified butter, which is ghee, to be able to produce the next seed, which is life, right? Ghee is considered one of the major promoters of your sexual essence. It helps us create this sexual fertility principle, which so many of us have seriously compromised. It also is a promoter of the body's natural immune principle, which is called ojas. Ghee is cool for our inflamed system, so it's a good anti-inflammatory. So just some things to think about in terms of ghee. There are other things that promote your sexual system, your shukra dhatu. There are other things that promote your ojas, but we won't go into those as much right now. The other thing that's awesome that you can do with ghee is put it on your body. I do this every single morning. I have an amazing washed ghee that my friend Meredith makes for me, and she doesn't sell it. She just makes little batches and gives them out. But there's another washed ghee that I'll put the link to in the show notes that Sakara Essentials makes, and it's organic. And washed ghee has been washed, some say 10 times, other companies will wash it 100 times. And so it means it's been clarified, and then it goes through a washing process where you're left with this most refined cream. And it is so freaking good for wrinkles, but also stretch marks. Pregnant women use it in India all the time. Pregnant women use it on their breasts in India. They use it on their belly after pregnancy for stretch marks. I have stretch marks on my body from being a little chubby girl and gaining a lot of weight really quickly. So you don't only have stretch marks from pregnancy. You can have stretch marks for other things, and there's nothing wrong with them. But ghee, clarified washed ghee, will actually help prevent them and can even change them. Many people have that experience. Another thing that was very common in India to do was to put ghee on your baby directly. So the mama and the child would be given daily massages with ghee, especially little babies when they were first born. It was just a really common massage lubricant. So there's a text by the sage Sushruta that states that doing massage with ghee increases affection. And he says in Sanskrit that it increases priti, which is not like, hey, you're pretty, but it's kind of similar. Priti means feelings of affection, feelings of love. Massaging yourself with ghee is also really good for increasing sexual interest and sexual pleasure. So using you can use the washed ghee as a sexual lubricant as well. So we'll give you guys a couple of links for some. It's really hard to find, honestly, washed ghee, but I'm sure within a few years it'll be sold on every freaking website ever, because these things have a way of coming in and out of fashion. Ghee is also always used in Ayurvedic cleansing. Like if you go and do a panchakarma, a 5 cleansing method, ghee will be the thing you take a lot of internal oleation, it's called. And they do that because ghee has this ability to pull toxins out of the body. And when you are cleansing, taking in this high amount of ghee also helps your body feel this warmth and this fat that makes it actually relax. I think people don't understand that the body needs to actually be quite relaxed in order to release deeply held toxins, but also deeply held emotions. And so fat in general helps us feel supported, helps us feel loved. And I think that's why I love it so much. And so many of us love to eat and even, unfortunately, oftentimes overeat and indulge because we actually want to feel loved. We want to feel connection. We want to feel held. So, oh my Lord, we could do a whole other, we have, like, every episode is about how we all want to feel loved, and we're all doing weird shit that we do as a way of thinking that we're getting love, right? And so ghee has a lot to do with this love, but it's a way of giving yourself love in a way that actually is nurturing. Sweet potatoes, avocado, figs and dates, nuts. These are just like coconut. These are just like these classic examples of heavy foods that are nourishing for us, that if we have good digestive fire, really help us on the emotional level to feel loved and supported. But guess what, guys? You can eat all the ghee you want and all the avocado you want. And at the end of the day, we still have to do that beautiful work of learning what's getting in the way of me feeling really that I can receive the love that's here, that's all around me. I want to end the podcast by just giving you the quick and dirty on how to make it at home. You may not want to buy it, although, my God, getting to know Ahara ghee, like, I know we do get a sponsorship for these podcasts, and they're what enable us to make these podcasts for free for you guys, so we can continue to give you all this content for free. And we really appreciate you listening to our advertisements for these sponsors. But I'm telling you, her ghee's crazy. Like, she's ruined ghee making for me forever. Like, I never want to make ghee again because of Andrea and Ahara ghee. But some of you out there may be like, I really want to make it myself just to have that experience. Andrea actually makes her ghee traditionally with mantras. And so you may want to make your own ghee with mantras on your own. So how do you do that? In my book, Healthy, Happy, Sexy, I talk about it, but the fast and dirty on it is you just take a pound of organic butter. I usually get the unsalted version, because if you get the salted, it'll just be very salty, because remember, you're boiling it down. You need a heavy stainless steel pan and a spoon, and you're going to just throw all the butter in there, melt it down on a really low flame, and you're going to continue to heat that butter until you start to get a little bit of a boil going. And over time, you're going to get this, sometimes I'll put mine a little bit higher than low. I'll do like a medium, and it'll start to boil. And then once it's got a good boil going, I'll immediately bring it down. So that's when you really got to watch it for a second. But then once you bring it down, what's going to happen is you'll get all these bubbles come to the surface, and you'll get this like ghee discharge, and it's kind of gross. It's like foam starts to rise to the surface, and all those solids start to rise to the surface. And if you just leave them alone, that foam will actually sink back down to the bottom of the pan, and it'll create this like crusty stuff on the bottom of your pan. That's kind of annoying to clean. So what I try to do is I just start skimming the foam off the top, and I just throw it away. But if you don't want to sit around and skim foam all day, you can just leave it on a low heat, and all that foam will rise to the surface. Some schools of traditional thought say that you do not want to touch the ghee once you have it on a low flame and it starts to bubble and boil a little bit, because you want to leave the foam alone and let it go to the bottom. There are different thoughts on this. So it just depends on you. But you don't have to touch it. The foam will get thicker, and then it'll, again, as I said, settle to the bottom of the pan. And what you're going to watch for is the ghee is eventually going to turn a golden color, and you're not going to get a lot of bubbles. Those are air bubbles. You're not going to get a lot of those coming to the surface, and you want to really watch for that. It will have a golden beautiful toasty color, but not start to smell too toasty. You don't want it to be burnt. Once it's kind of gone brown, that's really not traditionally how it's made. Now, I have turned my ghee brown more than once, and it is absolutely delicious. And I think the only difference is that you're just getting a more toasty aroma. So no big deal if you overcook your ghee. Obviously, you don't want to burn it. Then once it's cooled off a little bit, you can pour the ghee through a really fine mesh strainer, or I use just cheesecloth, which works really well. It's a little more messy, but I find the cheesecloth works the best. And then you just put it in a glass jar. You want to make sure that you try not to get the sediment in there. And you want to make sure, A, the jar is clean, and B, that you use a clean spoon every single time you dip into your ghee. Because ghee, one of the cool things about the process is that it boils off the toxins, and so any bacteria is going to be boiled out. And so what's cool about that is you do not need to refrigerate ghee. It's like vinegar. It's like olive oil. It preserves itself, and it will last a really long time. Now, the only reason you might have trouble with that is if you use a dirty spoon, and so some stuff gets in there, or if you use a wet spoon and then the water gets in the ghee and the water can start to form mold and bacteria. So clean spoon, make sure it's dry, and you won't have any trouble keeping that ghee on your counter. And it's not going to last over a year because you're going to be eating it so fast. People are always like, how long does ghee last? I'm like, if you're asking me that question, you're not eating it enough. You know, a big pint-sized jar of ghee for me lasts, I don't know, maybe a month, but no more than that, especially with my boyfriend who eats it like crazy. Oh my gosh. I could talk about ghee all day, but guys, I hope this has gotten you at least interested in high quality fats. I hope it's gotten you interested in how to feed your sexuality and your deep need for love and nourishment. We'll be talking about that and more in the podcast. I also want to let you know that Lineage of Love has a really special offer right now, my month-long subscription program where you get to meditate with me for free once a month. I do a free live call. You get a video with me. You get an audio practice with me. You get a PDF of like the current thing I'm interested in. And you get a Facebook secret community with all of these amazing women who are on the same path. Right now, we're letting new members in for free so they can test it out. So if you're curious about it, just get in, try it out, and you get all the content, all of it, when you join. So you get all the months that we've done on this platform for yourself to use. So check that out. We also have Ayurveda School Level 1. This is basically lady training school. This is human being woman school. This is medicine mama school. This is radical take your health into your hands school. This is finally go to the roots of your imbalance school. This is so much bigger than just Ayurvedic protocols, which we teach you. We teach you the philosophies of this beautiful medicine and spirit practice. It's more than that, though. It's modern science. It's women teachers from many different traditions coming into our school as guests. It is a platform where you can be with about 100 or so, depending on the number that sign up. We do limit it. We are limiting it this year, but it's a big old group of ladies that have a similar drive in their heart, and that is to know who they are and to ease some of these roots of suffering so that we can just have fun being alive, right? That's what it is. Ayurveda School is starting in January of next year. It may sound like a long ways away, but we've got a payment plan where you can pay it off before you start. We've got the early bird rate up, meaning we haven't even started marketing this to anybody but you guys on the podcast. So get in now. The price is going to go up very soon. We would love to have you. So if you love the ghee spot, you will completely love Ayurveda School. It's so deep. And you don't have to take my word for it. On our website, link in the show notes, you have so many women who've left their own personal experience and their words are on the site. So check that out. Get in Ayurveda School, ladies. Lastly, we want to thank Ahara Ghee, our new sponsor out of the Pacific Northwest. We've got links for their ghee. You can buy amazing vanilla dream ghee and browned butter ghee and chai spice ghee and turmeric ghee, garlic. Oh my God, they have everything. So check them out. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have a beautiful spring day. Much love.
फूटे फूल अपन सुखे फूटे फूल